Welcome to Flipped Lesson 3. Flipped Lesson 3 is called Paragraph Basics, Supporting Details. And it's the second lesson in a 3-lesson series about how to write a strong paragraph. The first lesson in the series is Paragraph Basics, Topic Sentences. In this lesson, as evidenced by this learning objective, we are not going to be focusing on topic sentences. We're going to be focusing on supporting details. The learning objective says, learn how to include rich supporting details for a strong paragraph. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to set up your notes. And you can do this by drawing a dividing line down the left side of the page. Put the date in the top left section and the topic in the top right section. The topic is Paragraph Basics, Supporting Details. So, as we discussed in the previous lesson, a complete paragraph contains a topic sentence, rich supporting details, sentences in a logical order, transitions to connect details, and a concluding sentence. Well, in this lesson, we're only going to be focusing on the second item on this list, rich supporting details. So let's talk about supporting details for a minute and what supporting details are. Supporting details support the topic sentence of a paragraph by giving specific information and examples to back it up, like evidence in a case. So, if you think about it this way, we are learning about how to write a really strong paragraph. And in the last lesson, we learned that your topic sentence is the most important sentence in your paragraph because it lays the foundation for the rest of the paragraph. It is the sentence that everything else has to connect to. Well, these supporting details, these are the sentences that need to connect back to your topic sentence. They're proving or helping you try to prove your topic sentence. If you look at this text from the rubric, it shows what a good paragraph contains with regards to supporting details. So, a strong paragraph provides plenty of specific details, facts, and examples about the assigned topic, thoroughly explains details if needed, and thoroughly answers the question or prompt. But how do you do this? Well, usually when you're writing a paragraph, you write about one or more texts that you've read or videos that you've watched. And so to use plenty of specific details, facts, and examples, you're going to use specific information. Right here, use specific information from the text or video in your paragraph. 3 is a good number to shoot for, but some paragraphs will have more or less depending on what the paragraph is about and the info you have to work with. So some paragraphs have a very clear number of details that are needed to address the prompt, and some do not. So in situations where it's clear, then you just provide the number of details that the purpose or information is indicating that you need to provide. But in situations where it's not clear how many details you need to provide, 3 is a good number. There's a rule in writing, it's called the power of 3. And that's a good rule to remember. It's just a reminder that when in doubt, give 3. 3 of whatever it is. 3 paragraphs, 3 details, 3 examples. Okay? So, let's look at an example prompt. It says, describe the main character in your book, not appearance. So here's a sample response, but this is what not to do. This is how not to respond to a prompt like this. It says, the main character in my book is very kind, but also very stubborn. There are no details or examples to back up or prove that the main character is kind and stubborn, which means that this writer has not provided any specific details, facts, and examples about this assigned topic. So what do you do? Well, here's the same prompt again. Describe the main character in your book, not appearance. And then here's an example of what to do. Let's read it, and then we'll go back and analyze it and break it down. Here's the response. The main character in my book, Kate, has had a difficult life. For example, she is an orphan who grew up very poor. Despite these difficulties, Kate is one of the kindest people I know. For example, she spent every Friday night with her grandmother, even though she would have preferred to be hanging out with her friends. In addition to being kind, Kate is also very stubborn. For example, when she is speaking and it trails off, you can tell, though, that this writer wasn't done. So let's analyze this response now. It starts with background information about Kate. She's had a difficult life. She's an orphan who grew up very poor. Then there's a nice transition from the background information about her difficulties to this writer's answer to the question. She's one of the kindest people I know. So there's the answer. Here are the specific details, facts, and examples to back up the answer. So the response says, for example, Kate spent every Friday night with her grandmother, even though she would have preferred to be hanging out with her friends. There's a specific example to back up, to prove that Kate is kind. And then we have another really nice transition here from this first characteristic of Kate, kindness, to the second one, stubbornness. And then again, this writer is going to provide an example to prove that Kate is very stubborn. So this is how you use specific examples from the text to back up your answers. So back to this text from the rubric. We've talked about how to provide plenty of specific details, facts, and examples about a topic. Let's talk now about how to thoroughly explain the details if needed. So how do you do this? Well, you've chosen details to include in your paragraph that support your topic sentence. But don't stop there. Sometimes it is obvious to your readers how the details connect to and prove your topic sentence, but often it is not obvious. And the trick is that you need to know whether it's obvious or not. If you're not sure, I would say the best way to go about this is to assume it's not obvious. In those situations where it's not obvious to your reader how your details connect to your topic sentence, you must explain how the details connect to your topic sentence. Try using the phrase, "this shows." This is a really important phrase. So let's look at an example. Here it is. So the example here is, we've got a focus statement or a topic sentence. Kate is stubborn. Okay? Take a look at how you provide details and then explain them. Here's the important part for this part of the rubric, the explanation. When she is speaking to her mother, Kate refuses to admit what she did wrong, even though doing so would save her a lot of trouble. So this shows her stubbornness, because even though there is a good reason to admit her wrongdoing, she sticks to her story. So we've read this example, let's analyze it. So this is all about how Kate is stubborn, the second characteristic of Kate that we have identified. And right here, the writer has provided an example to back up that Kate is stubborn, to prove it. And here's the important part. This is where she explains the details. She says, this shows her stubbornness because, and then she explains the connection between this example about when Kate is speaking to her mother and the stubbornness. Alright, so back to the rubric. We've talked about providing plenty of details. We've talked about explaining details. The last one here is to thoroughly answer the question or prompt. And I know that with 7th graders doing your reading responses, this one is one that trips you up quite often. So how do you do this? Well, you make sure you read the prompt thoroughly and make sure you answer all of it. And here's some examples. If you look at the list of prompts from your reading responses, prompt 1 says predicting. I predict ellipses because ellipses. These little marks, 3 dots right here, are called an ellipses. So the explanation below that shows how to thoroughly answer this prompt is, do not just make a prediction, explain the reason for your prediction. Why do you think that? Explain your thinking. Prompt 5. What was your favorite part? Use because. Again, here's how you answer this one thoroughly. Do not just tell me what your favorite part is, explain why it's your favorite. Again, explain your thinking. And then prompt 12, identify an example of figurative language that the author used and explain what impact it has. Last but not least, how do you do this? Well, don't just identify the figurative language, you also need to explain its impact. So the learning objective for this lesson was to learn how to include rich supporting details for a strong paragraph. At this point, I'd like you to pause the video and review your notes. And just take a look and see if there's anything in your notes that you don't understand, anything that you wrote down but maybe you don't remember what it's about, anything that needs more information. And if you find anything in your notes like that, I want you to go back through the video, find the part that you need more information about, and watch it again and see if you can get what you need from it. After reviewing your notes and completing them, making sure they're complete, at the bottom, draw a line across the page and write a summary of the lesson, just 1 or 2 or 3 sentences. Under the summary section, draw another line across the page and write at least one question that you have about supporting details in a paragraph after watching this lesson. Thank you very much for watching.